Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. With me, as always, is Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
On February 22nd, we got a huge announcement from BTS. Very unexpected. They announced on Weverse that Permission to Dance on Stage Las Vegas will be held as an offline performance and will be streamed live as well. So I wasn't expecting any kind of news until after the Seoul concerts were going to take place. So I was very surprised that they announced this. I wonder if they did that because they have to get the ticket sales going because it's kind of soon. It's kind of a month and a half away already. So the Permission to Dance on Stage Las Vegas will be held on 4 nights, April 8 and 9 and April 15 and 16 at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And all 4 performances will have a live play event at nearby MGM Grand Garden Arena where you can watch the show live on the big screen. And also the last day of the show, April 16th, will be live streamed online. So they are really maximizing all they can do is having a live play and an online concert on the last day. So that's pretty crazy. That's like a big operation that they're doing.
Well, I thought that they would have more concerts. So I guess I was right.
Did you think they would?
Soon, too.
They would.
Obviously, they'd have more concerts.
Did you think Vegas would be one of them? Like, I've never heard of Kpop performing in Vegas, so I was surprised at that.
I didn't. I thought they would have multiple locations. But I guess it makes sense. It's easier just to clear the what you need for one location.
Yeah, and just do multiple there.
And it's been proven that people will travel to see them.
Mm-hmm.
It works out for us because we can go to Vegas really easily.
Yeah, anyone in California,
right?
This is it's good for them.
It kind of sucks for people who live on the East Coast or elsewhere, but at least it's fun to come to Vegas. So there's worse things than to come to Vegas.
So do you think ARMY on the East Coast, should they wait for closer dates? Or do you think if they want to go to Vegas, maybe this is a good time to do that?
No, they should just come to Vegas.
Well, Vegas is fun, so
it's fun. We go there all the time. We love it there. There's also no guarantee that they'll have other dates.
Yeah, we don't know that. We think they are, but who knows what's in the plans. And what's weird is we had a trip that week anyway, and so that April 10th week, and well, I think we mentioned that before already, but it's just such a coincidence that BTS decided they're going to have a concert.
Yep.
At the
right
same
when
time.
we were going anyway, so just it doesn't take much to just stay there a little longer.
Yeah.
For American kids, it's spring break. It's spring break, so you can go pretty easily.
Oh, okay. So you're saying the adults will be able to get away if that's...
Oh, the kids can get away.
Oh, the kids.
Too.
Okay.
All right. Trying to remember, a lot of people are young. And
oh, yeah. I don't know. I just automatically was thinking of the ARMY whose parents, and then they have kids that are into BTS.
Yeah, that works for them. But I would argue there's more ARMY that are students, probably, right?
Yeah.
And so this works out. I think it shows a supreme confidence because basically they're acknowledging that region doesn't matter to them at all because they just had an LA concert.
Right.
So all the people in this region who want to see them probably saw them. Now, do they think those people want to see them again? No, they're obviously counting on people to come in from all over the place.
Right, that's true.
And they are totally confident that they'll do that. Now, that's the case for any Vegas residency. So when like Celine Dion is there or Adele was supposed to be there. But anybody who's in Vegas, you're in one spot, you expect people to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not there because you think that, oh, there's just this much demand from the people living in Vegas.
Right. You expect people will be traveling to get there.
And but the thing is, those people, they have residencies that are in much smaller venues.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as hard to get that many people to come in to see you. BTS is in the stadium. That's a big ask.
Yeah.
That's a big ask.
4 dates in a stadium. That's a lot.
4 dates in a stadium is a lot of people you're asking to fly in to see you. And yet they're confident that those people will come in.
Yeah.
And they're right. They will come in.
If it was some other group, I would be
There's no other group that could do that.
I would be like, oh, I don't know about that. You're really gambling there.
There's no other group that could do that. There's no other group that could do that. Remember Taylor Swift, she had her pandemic shortened event. Mm-hmm. It was just two dates at SoFi.
Right.
That's all she thought she could do. She thought she could bring in enough people to fill 2 dates.
That's true. That would be it. If she only planned 2 as opposed to like,
Right.
4 in a row, then that's what she thought.
And now BTS is in the same, roughly this. For people who don't know, Las Vegas is relatively close to LA. It's only like 3.5 hours away. So it's the same people that you're targeting regionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you play in Vegas, though, you're not targeting the region. You're not targeting the people who live there. Well, I mean, those people, but the population there isn't that big. You're targeting people. You're telling people to come fly in and see you. And they're totally confident that they can fill a stadium 4 times solely on people who are flying in to see them or coming in from elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the regular tour model, right? The tour model is that the act comes to you.
Yeah.
When the tour goes to Cleveland, who do they expect to buy the tickets?
People
Who live in Cleveland or the surrounding area. And then they go to New York, and then they go to Toronto, and then they go to Miami. BTS is just setting up shop in a stadium, no less, and just saying, hey, everybody come and see us. 4 dates. It's a testament to how popular and how much of a draw they are. I don't think there's another act that could do that, and I can't even think of another act that could ever have done that.
Well, do you think they would have stopped in Vegas if it wasn't the Grammys were there this year, which is like unusual?
What do you mean? Do you think that's the reason they're there? I don't think that's the reason they're there.
Well, we know that it's like the week before, so they're probably going to go to that. But
I think it's unrelated.
Maybe
personally.
they were planning it anyway.
It's unrelated. Their state, where they picked the stadium, is way more important than anything that has to do with the Grammys.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't alter their business to work around whatever the Grammys are doing. Totally unrelated. It's just a coincidence in my mind.
Yeah, and that would have been a lot to change last minute if they weren't originally already
they're in Vegas because the dates are open, the venue is good, the laws and the restrictions are good, right? That's why they're in Vegas. And they maybe got a good deal. But we're going to get tickets, that's for sure.
Yeah, as we're recording this is before the pre-sales are happening, so we are hoping to get tickets for one of the days that we're actually there. That would be the most convenient. And if you weren't aware, this stadium in Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium, is where the Las Vegas Raiders play football. So I don't know if probably not everybody is aware, like there's this new stadium there. It's pretty new, just from the past few years, right? And
yeah, it's only a few years old. It's a nice stadium, though.
The Oakland Raiders moved there because they wanted a new stadium and various other reasons. But so that's that stadium, and the capacity is 65,000 people. So it's almost as big as SoFi. So if you're trying to compare, it sounds like they're looking at big new venues BTS is going to perform in. So I don't know if that sets the pattern for the other places they're going to pick, if anyone else has a new stadium in their city. But yeah, I was just surprised when I thought about it that the dates were open. Like, you think they'd have events there or something going on already, but either this was in the works for a while, or Allegiant Stadium isn't all booked up nonstop the way SoFi Stadium is. You know how SoFi, it has something happening all the time at the stadium, whether it's like concerts or sports things. So I think that's either like amazing planning or they really lucked out on
luck.
The dates that they wanted. So
I would say it's just luck. Well, I would definitely recommend you get the fan club membership so that you can get tickets.
That was going to be the next thing I was going to mention, is that this time the way they've set up the pre-sales, the first one is the Army Fan Club membership pre-sale, and that's the one where you sign up on Weverse, and it costs, $22 to be a Army Fan Club member.
Right.
And supposedly they will send you a code the day before for that pre-sale. And then 2, the next day is going to be a Ticketmaster verified fan pre-sale. And that's it. There's no other pre-sales. So, the people that bought tickets at the last tour and didn't use it, like, your advantage is over now. Like, you had the chance to get the LA tickets, but then they didn't carry that over any further. Like, I'm sure that would have made it like way more complicated, but those people, it's like, well, that was your shot. And it's unfortunate if like, oh, I didn't want to go to the LA concerts because I live on the East Coast or something, and or that would have been, the dates didn't align up with what I wanted to do, but, you know, you had that one shot at it. But, you know, that's life. Sometimes you don't have all the 100% opportunities to do it. So, yeah, but it's really important to see what the situation is now, because this Vegas pre-sale is different. There's just the 2 pre-sales, and they even put a warning basically that they're going to put all the tickets for sale on the first pre-sale. So it's possible they could all be bought.
Not possible. I would say probable.
I was going to say, what do you think are the chances of that happening?
I don't think there's very high chance that there will be general sales available.
What about for the second day pre-sale?
I don't think that'll be there either. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, they made a point to say that, hey, make sure you get the Army fan
Well,
club.
maybe like there might be, I don't know. Last time they reserved some good seats, like floor seats, for later dates. So I have no idea what they're going to do. Don't quote me on this. But that language didn't exist last time we purchased tickets.
Yeah, but maybe they decided to not do that anymore because people complained. Even though I didn't think there was anything wrong with that way of doing it. It's like, okay, you wanted to have enough tickets for the different days, so that's just what they allotted.
I would say this. It's $20. Just pay the $20 to ensure that you get your tickets.
Yeah, I think
$20 is a drink in Vegas.
It's the safe move in order to be into that first pre-sale.
And if you've never been to Vegas, I'm sorry to tell you, that's how much a drink costs. That might come as a shock to some people.
Well, there's a lot of discount places too, but if you're going to like a nice bar, then that's...
But why would you go to a discount place? Right? Why would you? There's so many nice bars.
Because you spent all this money on BTS tickets. You might need a budget trip otherwise.
True.
So yeah, just be conscious of that pre-sale situation. That's what's going on with that. I also think that the concerts in Vegas, it makes it pretty unique from the LA concerts because, I mean, it's a totally different type of town. The way it's laid out too. Because the stadium is right behind or like next to Mandalay Bay Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like in a busy metro city anywhere. It's like right near the hotel. So if once you're at Mandalay, you can just walk over to this stadium. So you don't need to have a car. You don't need to have to worry about parking. It's like as long as you get to the hotel, you can just walk into the stadium. So I think that's an important factor because people spend a lot of resources like, oh, let me buy a parking pass. Let me do this. Let me get an Uber to the place. But, you know, there's trams, there's taxis. As long as you can get to Mandalay Bay, then you can just walk right into the stadium.
Well, Mandalay Bay, Luxor, and Excalibur all have a tram that connect to each other. Mm-hmm. So if you stay at any of those hotels, you will be able to get to Mandalay and walk to the stadium very easily. And that means if you stay at any hotel close to any of those hotels, and by close, in Vegas, close means it needs to be the next hotel over. Never think your hotel is like one over and that's close enough because it's not. Hotels are huge. You don't want to walk more than just like the next one over. Mm-hmm. This means that New York, and Tropicana are also acceptable hotels because you can walk from there to Excalibur pretty easily. And if you're asking where you should stay, Mandalay and Luxor are probably the better ones. Don't stay at Excalibur. It's the cheapest, but it's terrible. It's the one that's a castle.
Yeah.
I mean, you could stay there. It's the cheapest, but you won't enjoy it.
The quality will reflect that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also going to mention, like you said, it's very important the hotel you choose to stay in, the proximity to the stadium. Don't think you can just save a few bucks and stay at the north of the strip or way to the south of the strip because there's hotels like all over the place. Make sure you're staying right nearby because people underestimate how long it takes to get from one side of the strip to the other. And you don't want to waste a bunch of time when you could just be staying at a nearby hotel and just walk there. People often try to save money and then you're staying really far away and it's...
Well, if you can save money and stay really far away, a cab is not that expensive. So if you really want to save money, downtown hotels are cheap, but that's a pretty long cab ride.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of downtown. I was just thinking strip, like where on the strip.
Unfortunately, and also if you're wondering which dates to go, I was looking at hotel prices. The hotel prices for the 8th and the 9th are way more expensive than the ones for the 15th and 16th.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know.
Do you think it's a good idea to book that now before you have tickets?
Yes, because you can always cancel it.
Yeah, and make sure it's a refundable hotel.
Usually you can cancel it. Don't select non-refundable if that's one of the options.
Yeah, so those are our tips, having gone to Vegas many times. We've never been to Allegiant Stadium, but just based on what it looks like on the map and just previous concert experience, this is what we're suggesting. So just try to stay at a nearby hotel. That will be the best course of action. And I'm interested to see what else happens during the time that BTS is in Vegas, because we know the Grammys happen, and so, whatever will happen with that, there will be celebrities in town, but there's also other artists are performing in Vegas. They have residencies. So Lady Gaga's performing. Her new jazz residency starts April 14th, and there's also Silk Sonic that has a bunch of dates, one of which is right before the Grammys, and also the Backstreet Boys. So I'm just interested to see if any of these artists are going to be at BTS's concert, and also is BTS going to go to these other places like while they're in town, because I'm sure they'll have a lot of time off other than doing their concerts. So maybe in the evenings they'll pop in, because we saw that they went to the Harry Styles concert, and that was right near the time of their concert.
Yeah, maybe. Or they might go to a club. Here's the thing, though. There's so many events in Vegas, you're not going to be able to predict, I don't think, where they go.
No.
There's just so many locations where interesting things are happening, so...
You wouldn't be able to predict. You need some intel if you were going to try to observe BTS doing something. So, yeah, that wouldn't be easy to find out. And, the other thing I was thinking of is at the concerts, since they're so close to the Grammys, other celebrities will be in town at the same time. And so they... Remember, because last time we had Megan Thee Stallion and Coldplay, and even Halsey was there, and I think maybe this time it's probably not going to be the same guests coming in. They're going to do something different. So maybe it'll just be artists that they have not even done songs with, just people who they're fans of BTS. They want to come in and make an appearance and then play a little of their own song. And I was just thinking, because that's what Taylor Swift did on her Reputation tour. There was like different guests every time, and they would just play a little of their song, and then she would sing along with it, and that happened like multiple times. So I think we should be prepared for surprises on this tour, this Las Vegas concert tour. And so they're going to want it to be different than the previous concerts. So it's going to be different than the LA concerts and different than the Seoul concerts. So I think that's one way they could do it, is by having some different artists show up, and then maybe they sing a song together, the other person's song. So there might be some unexpected things happening.
Okay, so I said it's impossible to predict, but I actually have a prediction.
Okay.
So I think that if you were betting on it, the best bet as far as where to catch them outside the concert would be, I think that it's pretty likely they'll go to Delilah at some point. Here's why. Well, for those of you who don't, Delilah is like a supper club in the Wynn. It's like one of these places. There's an LA location, but now there's a Vegas location. It's one of those places where they serve food. It's kind of like a roaring 20s vibe. I think they'll go there because they have a no camera policy, and it's always been very celebrity friendly, even the LA location. So that's the most likely place for them to go. It's also new and fancy and nice, and a lot of celebrities have been dropping into that place already.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at their feed, it's always, so-and-so dropped in, The Weeknd dropped in, whatever.
Oh, yeah, I just saw The Weeknd was
Justin
there.
Bieber, well, he didn't drop in. He was paid to come promote the opening, but
right.
You get what I'm saying. A lot of celebrities sort of drop in and sing. I don't think they're going to sing, but if they just wanted to have a night out and fun, I think that Delilah's probably where they're going to be at. That
would be safe for them, because they can have security there.
Yeah, and it's set up to accommodate a celebrity. Like, they have areas that can cordon off, so the plebes can't get into there.
Yeah.
Make reservations there if you can.
Yeah.
That's the most likely spot, I think, that you'll
gamble on it. Pick some random date.
Pick a day. Go there. I'd say, anywhere between 9 and 11 is when you want to be there.
They'll be there late.
Something like that. Yeah, they're not going to be there early. Actually, 9 and 11's bad. 10 and 1 or 10 and 2.
Right.
That's pretty much when you want to be there.
The latest possible time.
For those of you who don't know, Vegas doesn't start till like 11 o'clock. That's when the night ends for a lot of people. But in Vegas, it really starts at around 11.
Mm-hmm. And since they're from Korea, maybe they won't have an issue with the time change and like staying up late.
Perhaps. Although I think they would be preparing for the concert.
Yeah. But there's a lot of time in between April 8 and 9 and April, 15 and 16. So they're going to have some fun at some point, I think. So that is a good suggestion. So exclusive here. We've told you.
Yes, it's not easy to get a reservation, though. You got to call. It's really tight. And it's kind of expensive. No, it's not expensive. It's no more expensive than the average, like, upper end. You'll pay about $100 per person, which I don't consider expensive for Vegas.
Yeah, you get dinner and you'll probably get some drinks with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we've all heard the news this week about Russia has started attacking Ukraine. I guess that started on February 24th, and we've seen lots of news reports about that. There's been casualties. There's been situations where people have to seek shelter because of bombs dropping. And so we saw an article about Ukrainian army, as in like BTS fan, took a picture of the underground subway station where they're seeking shelter, and it still has the J-Hope birthday billboard sign on there, and just very powerful scene there of just like, that's just something they were doing the week before, is just being happy about J-Hope's birthday and celebrating that, just regular things in life. And then now they're in this really tough situation. So I think this was on all K-pop, and then some people are like, well, why is this a news story or whatever? And it's like, I could see why they might say that. It's not like straight up K-pop news, but at the same time,
not exactly.
Yeah, but this is a Ukrainian fan who was like, this is just how it is now. All of a sudden, we're dealing with this. But
so this billboard was just put up by fans, huh?
Yeah, that was one of those ones where a fan club, put together a bunch of money and put up pictures of J-Hope for his birthday.
Does J-Hope even know about it? It's just a subway in Ukraine.
I don't think he knows. It's I don't know if they notify the DTS once they do those, and it's like in a different country.
So you're just telling a bunch of Ukrainians, most of whom probably don't care or know who J-Hope is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like a waste of money.
It's something fun for the Ukrainians there. And yeah, I'm surprised that they do that. I thought that was just a thing that they did in like China, Japan, and Korea. But it must have caught on to fans in other countries. They're like, oh, that's so cool. I want to do that too. But yeah, I'm sure the Ukrainians who've never heard of BTS or J-Hope, they're like, who's that? But yeah, I think the story just highlights, there's army everywhere, there's K-pop fans everywhere. Kind of humanizes the situation, because then you think, that could be me, what they're struggling with. And sometimes you hear about a war happening somewhere and you're just like, okay, well, that's the world right now. It's like bad news happening all the time, and you're kind of disconnected from it. But when you find out, like, they're a BTS fan, that kind of makes it more real in a way, even though it's not any different. It's just, it's people, just like the other situation is people too. But yeah, I just thought it was like a thought-provoking photo, and just makes you grateful for.
It is very it's a high contrast photo, but I won't say too much about the whole Ukraine. Obviously, it's a big thing happening in the world right now. Nobody is really happy when wars start. I don't think most people are happy about it.
No.
I will say that it's a little bit more nuanced than your media has probably been telling you. You've probably just been told that, Putin is just a crazy, evil dictator, and he's just power hungry. And although it is true that this war is clearly... don't listen to his propaganda either. He's not executing the war because he needs to clean up Ukraine or, denazify it or whatever. It's purely just to improve Russia's standing, position, and power in the world, right? Mm-hmm. That's what countries do. That's why the United States fought the last about 4 wars we fought, okay? Improve our standing and position in this world and security. That's not saying it's wrong or right either. It's a typical motivation. The only thing I will add on top of that is that I think we should accept that the West is a little bit more culpable in this situation than we'd like to acknowledge, right? Keep in mind that after the Cold War, I don't know, like if you know this, after the Cold War ended and the Soviet Union broke up, Ukraine, because it was part of the Soviet Union, a big part, it was left with a lot of nuclear weapons. And they didn't really have the expertise or the military or the manpower to even manage it. And so, but they're useful to have. But we didn't want them to have it because the world, or at least the people in charge of the world, the most powerful countries, would prefer that less countries have nukes and that even the countries that have them have less of them, right? And the horse is kind of out of the barn with that because the United States on its own has enough nukes to destroy like every city. But we wouldn't like Ukraine to have them. So we told them, hey, can you just give them up to us? And they said, okay, yeah, but what will you give us? And we sort of implied to them that we would protect them, that we would integrate them into Western society. And by Western, I mean NATO, like Europe, like Germany, UK, France, United States, this side, right?
Right. And you get privileges with that.
Yeah. We didn't promise them anything, but we sort of, implied, we made assurances, right? It was not to the level of a legally binding treaty, but we sort of made some promises.
Russia is not in NATO, right?
No, they're not. They're the reason why NATO exists, right?
Right. It's everybody that Europe
NATO
countries.
exists. Yeah, NATO exists to be in opposition of the Soviet Union.
Right. It's like their alliance.
Now, arguably, after the Soviet Union broke up, there's no reason for NATO to exist. And Russia would make that exact argument, in fact. It's like, why do you guys still exist? You existed to oppose the Soviet Union, but the Soviet Union no longer exists, right? But I don't think we ever fully trusted Russia, so that's sort of why we still have NATO. And the apparatus was already there, so.
Well, are they saying, okay, they're not communists anymore, but...
Not only they're not communists, the Soviet Union doesn't exist, right? It's broken up into many countries now,
right.
since the 90s. Cold War ended, Soviet Union broke up. So we made assurances to Ukraine, made some promises to them, but when push comes to shove, we're not protecting them. We're not really coming through for them. And that's not really doing right by them. It would have been much fairer for us to just tell them, hey, we're not really going to protect you, you know that. But see, if we said that to them, maybe they wouldn't have just given up their nuclear weapons so easily.
Right.
And also, even worse, from our point of view, worse, they might have reintegrated into the Russian sphere of influence. They might have said, well, we used to be part of a big old Soviet Union with Russia. We should just be closely aligned with them. And you know what? We're similar to them. Our people are similar. Our values are similar. Let's just be closely aligned with them. Of course, we wouldn't prefer that. We would prefer they be more closely aligned with NATO. Mm-hmm. And that's what they did. They slowly became more aligned with NATO without us actually putting them in NATO. So this did two things. It made Russia feel more insecure, and it also led the Ukrainians to believe that, when they'll protect us when things really happen. Both bad things, right? If we were upfront with them from the beginning, at least they would have had full information to maybe just side with Russia and be in their sphere of influence from the very beginning. And if they had done that, they would not be getting invaded today. But we sort of led them on to think that, come be associated more with the West.
Right.
It'll be good for you. It'll be good for you.
They've misled them.
In essence, we're just sort of using them as a buffer state to protect us. If we really, really wanted to protect them, what we have done, we would have just put them in NATO, right?
Right.
This is like too political for a K-pop podcast, but this is essentially what happened.
Russia wouldn't dare attack anybody in NATO.
No, they wouldn't, because everybody is legally obligated by treaty to defend every NATO country.
Right.
Russia, just so you know, Russia is not even more powerful than Germany. They're about the same. So they're certainly not more powerful than all the NATO countries combined, which includes Germany, France, UK, and the United States. Mm-hmm. And if you don't believe me, just go look up military spending. You'll see that the United States spends probably way too much money on its military, but whatever. And Russia doesn't even spend more than, like Germany. They're similar. Interesting thing about that, you'll notice that South Korea spends a lot. They spend like $50 billion a year.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
I'm just saying, if you look at the military spending, South Korea is around 50 billion, I think. Don't quote me on this. And Russia's around 61 billion. You probably thought that these two countries, Russia spends a lot more on its military than South Korea, right? Not true. South Korea spends about the same. It's way more powerful than Ukraine, but it's not the Soviet Union. It's not like it was in the those days.
Yeah. People probably think Russia's a lot stronger than it is.
Yeah, it's not. It has nuclear weapons, sure, but we all have nuclear weapons. Who's going to fire them?
Well,
You want to fire them, then it's mutually assured destruction.
But in this situation, they're probably just going to succeed in taking over Ukraine because no one else is doing anything, right?
Correct.
So, yeah.
And I don't necessarily, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying U.S. blood should be spilled to save Ukraine. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that we didn't treat them fairly. For the past 30 years, they've been creeping towards the West with the idea that they're going to be protected. Maybe they would have made the other decision to side with Russia if they knew they weren't going to be protected, right?
Right. They might have just been like, hey, this is just easier.
But we misled them, and now they're in this position. So we deserve culpability for that. I don't think we're obligated to save them, but at the same time, we shouldn't have lied to them for 30 years now.
No, I didn't know Ukraine was Ukraine for that long. Wow.
Well, I mean, the Soviet Union broke up in like 91, right?
Right. That's true. Well, hopefully this gets resolved with as few lives lost as possible.
Yeah, this is like too political for a K-pop podcast,
No,
but this is essentially what happened. That's my only take on this really large, complicated issue.
So here's a story that you came across this week, and I think the listeners would find pretty interesting, and maybe even they'd find it wrong. This is from the Daily Mail, and the title is K-pop superstars BTS fly economy while their managers enjoy luxury first-class seats, despite the group boasting a net worth of $100 million. So this story is talking about radio host Robin Quivers, who's on the Howard Stern show. She's like the second person on there, and she mentioned this week that she recently saw BTS on a flight, and then they were all in economy, and she said, I told you I met BTS on a plane. They were very sweet, she said to Howard Stern. Nobody treats them like stars. These are superstars. They stood in line at the security line and checked in, and most of the kids were back in the regular coach section, she added. And she said they did a lottery, and one kid won a first-class seat, so he was up there with management. And so they were commenting on seeing BTS and being shocked that most of them were seated in economy.
I'm shocked too. Why?
I don't know when this was. So
I bet it was just like a short flight or something, or a last-minute flight.
Trying to think. If she's in New York, then it must have been sometime that they went to New York or were leaving New York. So
I can't imagine it's a regular thing for them to fly coach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's because management is like selfish and it's like, we're taking all the good seats and you plebes BTS needs to go sit in the back, because you're beneath us or whatever. I don't think it was like that kind of situation. It was probably just like, oh, we needed to buy this many tickets and they didn't book it like way ahead of time, because they can't book things way ahead of time, because then the crazy fans will find out and try to book seats at the same time.
Well, I actually think it's kind of true, though. Well, it depends on the plane. It depends on how many first-class seats there are, right?
Yeah, I mean, they probably need a lot of seats if it's their whole team together.
But you would think that the BTS would get priority no matter who is sitting up there.
You'd think.
It's still strange to me. Strange to me.
They're the ones with the... Yeah, that's why I thought maybe...
If anyone is sitting in first class, it should be BTS.
I thought maybe some of ARMY would really hate hearing that. They're like, they deserve to sit all the way in the front, Them and Bang PD, probably,
Usually I would say that you're like overblowing things, but in this case I think it is kind of odd. Why aren't they in first class?
I think there's probably a logical reason, and it's either, okay, they needed to get a bunch of tickets at the last minute, and some of them had to be economy, and so that was unavoidable. And also, I thought maybe it's a Korean thing. Maybe they feel like, oh, we'll defer to the older people to get the better seats.
Right, the cultural thing. True, maybe.
Like the younger people would feel like, oh, I can't.
Do you think that cultural deference for your elders still counts when you're the biggest pop act in the world? Does that still count? Really?
I think so, because they still use all the words, like hyung and oppa and all that. So maybe in booking plane seats, it's like, okay, who should get the best seats? Like, oh, let the elders, decide first. Or maybe it's not even they're deciding. It's like, well, it's just assumed they will take up the older ones would get the best seats first. So of course all their managers are probably older than them, and all the other people that they travel with, like choreographers or whatever, and they get the seats first, and BTS being the youngest ones, they get whatever's left. That's what I thought, but Hybe has never said, what is their strategy for the seating of being on planes. So I wouldn't worry about BTS not experiencing enough luxury, though. I mean, they get really nice hotel rooms. I'm sure like there's other flights where they're for sure in first class, and all the good other benefits they get. They get like free designer clothes and all this. So I don't think this is probably not happening every single time. Like they're in economy. Like there's no way that would happen every time.
I'm sure it doesn't happen every time. And like you said, they have their own jet most of the time, right? They have their own private jet.
I don't know if they have their own, but I'm sure they get chartered.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Private flights. But you can
It's still weird. It's still weird.
Yeah.
I think it's still weird.
It's a weird thing to witness.
I don't think that anybody should have priority over them except Bang PD. That's the only person, right?
Right.
I think that everybody else should probably go in the back. If only because people don't recognize you won't get bothered.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not outraged or anything, but I do find it highly strange.
Maybe the managers or the Hybe executives should consider that. They'd be like, okay, I have this seat, but let me give up my seat so that RM can sit here, because I think he deserves it. And I will sit in economy, Maybe they should consider that when this comes up. But yeah, I think that is what happens, though. The older people get the deference to get the best seats first. So this is a story I found out about on Twitter, and we are all familiar with YouTube reaction channels, especially the ones that react to K-pop videos. There's a lot of those still, and it'll be the person, they'll have a video playing on the corner of the screen, they make their comments throughout, and a lot of times it's like over the top, and then of course they always love it, and that's a typical reaction video. And sometimes they try to have an angle like a music producer reacts to whatever, or
yeah, I've seen them.
A rapper reacts to whatever. So I think we all know that maybe they're not always 100% genuine in their reactions. I mean,
I didn't know that.
I mean, hopefully people have awareness of, this is YouTube. People can say anything, and they can say, oh, this is my first time seeing this, and then I'm reacting. But, when you see enough of them, it's like, okay, is that really true? And, a lot of the people take advantage of views because they know, BTS, people will watch videos that have BTS in the title.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows, if these are genuine reactions or not. I mean, a lot of them probably aren't. But so what I found out, though, is that there's K-pop companies that have reached out to contact some of these YouTubers, and they're encouraging them to react to their artists, and then sometimes even offering money for this. So I didn't know that part was happening. I don't know if that's been happening the whole time, or if this is just a recent thing that has popped up, but there was some examples of that people found on Twitter. There's one YouTuber, Jay Diaz. He was a YouTube reactor, and then he started listing his profile. He's an SM Global Ambassador, so clearly he's on like the SM payroll somehow. And he had been a longtime BTS fan because, people saw his Twitter and old videos, and it's like, okay, he was definitely a BTS fan before. And then later on, he said, first time reacting to BTS, and then reacting to Fake Love or something. And it's like, wait, how could that be your first time if you've been a BTS fan for a long time? So it's like that guy was already, people were suspicious of. So now he's an SM Global Ambassador, and then people have commented that, oh, he's saying, way more positive things about SM groups now, and how BTS, maybe they didn't pave the way, and it was like, all these other groups were more instrumental in the history of K-pop. And it's just funny. I'm not like, oh, that's terrible. This guy needs to
I mean, it's fun. They don't really owe you anything.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
If you watch it and you don't like it, then just don't watch them again. You didn't lose any money, I guess. Just a little time. I think it's more of credit to the way K-pop companies operate. It seems very ingenious to, target influencers and people who are reacting. This sounds like something that American media companies just wouldn't think to do.
Yeah, because they figure there's enough fans out there that'll spread something viral. We don't have to.
And I bet the efficiency of their ad dollars spent on these people is just so much better than whatever it is that American media companies are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And it seemed that there was some other people commenting that YG does this, and they were, sending emails and reaching out to some of these YouTubers like, please react to this Treasure video. And okay, I could see why they would do that, because Treasure is a new group, and so you'd want as many eyes on them as possible. And so maybe they thought this is a good strategy to do that. If there's more YouTubers reacting to it, I think that does cause a chain reaction, because people are like, oh, they're reacting to that. That must be a big enough act that I should pay attention to. And people are already watching that channel for the bigger groups. Maybe they will watch that video too. So all I've seen so far is like SM and YG are the ones possibly doing this, but maybe there's other companies. It does seem to make sense, the way YG was using it. I don't know exactly what SM's strategy with that was, but it seems to be SM and YG that are putting resources into this. I don't know if other companies are, or if they haven't thought of it, or they don't think it's needed, but it does seem like if you're trying to get more views in the US market, that you'd go to YouTube for that. And maybe that's why, because they're trying to do more in the West with their groups, like get them more of a foundation going.
Hey, I'm not mad at them at all. I think it's smart. Just be aware that what you watch on YouTube is not necessarily true.
Yeah, and someone might be influenced in their opinion by getting money or whatever from these K-pop companies. And this one guy, DJ Gino, said that YG was reaching out to reactors last week looking for collaborators, and the deal was you could keep the monetization money from YouTube. So I guess that's their way of payment, is like they don't really give them anything, but they just let them keep the money that they made on their video, because otherwise wouldn't they be able to like claim copyright or whatever if they wanted to?
Yeah. Well, no, not if your content is transformative, right?
Yeah, I don't know if
if you stop it to make commentary in your reaction, then I don't think that you can copyright claim that.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know how reaction videos fall on that, if that counts as...
I think it counts as transformative.
Okay. Well, then I don't know how YG can say, like, oh, well, you can keep your monetization money, because wouldn't they be keeping it anyway?
Well, it counts, but you have to fight it.
Oh, okay.
If they wanted to make us think about it. YG could be difficult about it.
Yeah.
Certain companies are much more difficult than other ones.
And I think sometimes it comes up automatically. Like they said, you use a clip from this, and we're not going to take your video down, but you have no monetization from that video. Like that happened one time. I used a clip from something, and then like that's what Big Hit said, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. No one watches this one YouTube video anyway, so who cares? If you're one of these reactors, then every single one of your videos has copyright info, and so if those companies wanted to play hardball, they could like demonetize everything. But yeah, I guess that's what they were saying, is like, okay, YG, we'll let you keep the money from that video and not strike it or demonetize it or anything, and just react to one of our groups. So interesting strategy. Thank you to our guest Morgan. You can listen to BTS Happy Hour on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast platforms, or visit btshappyhour.com. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. New episodes weekly. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Weverse. If you've listened all the way to the end of the episode, you have proven yourself a true fan of the podcast. And in honor of Permission to Dance Vegas, comment with a money bags emoji on our latest Instagram post. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.